Hi, we are here talking today to a new author of a murder mystery novel. His name is Larry Preston, as it says in our little intro. And if they are thinking, dang, that name is familiar, yeah, it should be. Okay. For 18 years, he was an attorney with a Saginaw law firm. He was the co founder and CEO of TriStar Trust Bank for 20 years. And since 2019, he has been the chair of the board of directors for the Temple Theater and the Saginaw Art Museum. He likes to keep busy, okay?
Mhm.
And he's also been a lifelong art museum connoisseur, which brings us to his novel called Forged Fates, right?
Correct.
It's about art forgery, greed, jealousy, lust, and vengeance. Oh yeah. Okay. So what was the impetus? Where in your life did you say I'm going to write a book and this is what it's going to be about?
Well, I think that's a two-stepper.
Okay.
When I was young, like a teenager, I was an avid reader, and I said someday I want a book. And so, Janet, what I did was, much to my parents' dismay, I sold my car they had worked years to buy, and went and traveled to Europe by myself. I was 18. And what was interesting is my goal was you can't really write a novel unless you have experiences. So I was
True.
hoping I'm going to get some experience. I come back and I started writing a novel. It was so horrible. It's just terrible. And so I set it aside, and 50 years later, I'm finally getting around to writing a novel that worth publishing.
Okay. Does Saginaw play a role in the novel? I know it does, but I want you
It
to.
absolutely does. And it
Yeah.
starts right here in Saginaw. And the names of places were changed to protect not them, but me. I'm an
Okay.
attorney. I want to make sure that I
Yeah.
don't have ramifications that way. And so if you are from Saginaw or Bay City or Midland, the storyline passes through all those communities, and you will recognize places, and it makes nice reference points. But I also love to travel, so it also takes you to New York City and to Istanbul.
Oh,
So all those places are covered.
how did you come up with the plot, and did you have to do research of any kind? I guess is a good question.
I did a lot of research, but the
Yeah.
plot itself was an idea that just came to my mind. And it starts off with the fellow who is an art conservationist. And I got started on that. Uh, the lovely lady I dated in undergrad had this dream she wanted to be an art conservationist. Who wants to be an art conservationist? No one thinks of that, but that was her dream. And last time I checked, she is now the senior art conservationist for the Smithsonian.
Oh,
So her,
okay.
so I got interested in conservation, and then as she was going through that process, you learn about art forgery and
Yeah.
theft and all of that. So I had that background, and had a real interest in learning more about it. And then the idea behind the book that drives this conservationist to become an art forger, that was all my original idea. And I think it's very plausible that it could something like that could take place.
So did you consult with her during this process too?
No, because
No.
my wife would kill me.
Oh, oh, that's right. You did say former girlfriend. Okay, sorry about that. So is it? I've often thought with writing a murder mystery novel, because readers are so sharp-eyed these days, you could so easily make a mistake. So how comfortable? Of course, you've studied art all your life, but how much did anybody have to like read it after the fact to say, Larry, you missed this or you missed that, or
Oh,
what's the process?
absolutely, Jan. It was a long process. It started with our common friend Paul Chafee,
Okay.
and he did the original editing on the book,
Oh,
and I made a lot of changes. I basically rewrote the book at that time to get in line with what we thought it would take. And then I found a publisher And as a first-time writer, it's almost impossible to find a publisher.
Yes.
Found one, and it was an interesting story. I talked to her, and she goes, "Send me the manuscript, and I'll look it over, but don't get your hopes up. One or two books a year, and so I'll get back to you by Wednesday." I waited all day. Finally, 8:30 that night, she called me. She goes, "This is wrong. This is wrong. This is wrong. You got
Oh
to make
no.
changes." I said, "Well, I guess we're not working together." And she said, "No, I really like your book, but I tell you, you've got a lot of work in front of you."
Oh,
And so I did a lot of rewriting again. So that this book has gone through two people with great editing background, and both of them have backgrounds in the arts as well.
okay.
So I think that it is well founded, this book. I don't think there's anything extreme. There's only one part that I think is a little extreme, that I think that to make the book work, I had to have that in there. And the concept is good. The numbers may be a little bit slanted to make it more feasible.
Okay. How many pages are we talking?
It's about 300.
Okay. Hold it up a second there so people can see the cover.
Okay, here it is.
There it is.
Ooh, ooh, ooh.
There you go.
Forge Fates.
Yep.
And you can see, yeah, it's a
Yeah,
legit book. Mm-hmm. And do you like the cover?
I do.
It is by our common friend, Jim Perkins. I commissioned
Ah,
Jim Perkins to paint this painting for the book. And we go way back because you
yeah.
and I together on the mural on
Yep.
Hamilton that
Yep.
Jim Perkins painted. So thank you for your
Yep.
contributions in so many ways on that.
So if I haven't read the book yet because it just got out, but do I assume that the architect Lucas Novak is your main character?
He is the main character.
Okay. Who, we're going way ahead here. Somebody options it for a movie. Who would you like to, or a TV show? Who would play him so we
Oh,
can get an idea of what he looks like in your mind?
it's interesting that Lucas Novak is not a handsome man.
Okay.
In fact, he's a he's a short, broad man, broad features. He's not attractive at all.
Okay.
But he has a personality that people are drawn to. So I never really given any thought who in the movie world would be a good person for that. Do you have an idea? Do you have any suggestions at who maybe fits that profile?
You probably could make Tom Hanks with makeup do that
Yeah,
because he's a little not heavy set, but he's not skinny.
but Lucas
What's his
knows
age? What's his age?
27 years old. It'd have to be a younger actor.
Oh, younger. Okay. Okay.
Lucas Novak's about 27 or 28.
Oh, okay. Then I don't know the younger actors that well. So
I don't either.
yeah.
But
So
funny, I did write this book with the idea that it could be turned into a movie. I think it
okay.
has elements, and it probably never will be, but I had that thought in the back of my mind. Now, the person that he contrasts with is Adam Lindmark, and Adam is Mr. Handsome. He's
Okay.
tall, slender, and blonde, and charming. And so those two uh, persons who become friends are really so different that that's the contrast, I think, in many ways makes it interesting to see them interact.
So you actually have visual images. Well, you'd have to. Yeah, you have in your mind. You have images of
Oh,
what. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and you
And
hear
I,
people say when they're writing that, the character takes on a life, and pretty soon they're just writing for themselves. And it's really true, Jan. When I
what?
started, I'm thinking in my mind, he'll say this, and pretty soon it's like, oh, no, Lucas would never say that. I change that. And my publisher did a great job at different points. Larry, Lucas would never do that, would never say that. You need to go back and rewrite that because that doesn't fit his character. And
Wow.
it did, yeah. These people really, at least as a writer, come alive. I
Will
mean,
come alive.
uh-huh. And one of the other things that I think is interesting for every character is that there is gray area for everyone. You're going to see their strengths, you're going to see their weaknesses.
Yep.
even the most hero of the characters, you're going to see the flaws in them. And the most
Okay.
diabolical of the worst, the evil people, you're going to see glimpses of what makes them human. And I think
Oh,
that's really what life's all about. You don't have just a black and white character.
right,
You
right.
have all these different nuances, and that's sort of fun writing it too, because you're going along and the character wouldn't say this, but then I put that in there and sort of describe why the character's thinking that way, so you can see that they're multi-dimensional
Mm.
folks.
That must be fun to develop. Wow. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I really, really enjoyed writing the book. I don't know if people will like it or not. I hope they do, but I don't know. But I had just an absolute wonderful time writing this book.
So how long of a process? How long, when did you really seriously start writing it?
Well, it was over a decade ago that I was sitting in an airport. I was speaking at a conference in Kansas City, and I sat down at the bar. I was having a glass of wine, and I etched out at that time sort of a thumbnail sketch of what the book would be and the main characters. And then I was so busy at that time, it sat until I retired from TriStar about 3 years ago.
Okay.
And that's when I really got serious with sitting down and pretty much writing every day.
Yep. So I understand you're already working on a sequel?
I do. I have the sequel coming, and my publisher said, "Slow down. Yeah, the book, your first one's just come out. Just take it easy. Will be time for it." I'm about 60% done of the sequel.
Oh my gosh.
It's
Yeah,
writing
slow
itself.
down.
Yeah, again, it writes itself. You sit down, and start thinking of ideas, and it
So
just
same character?
um there are
Luke.
some characters, but there are
Okay.
a lot of characters too.
Okay.
Some very interesting characters. I'm
Okay.
really pleased with the characters of the next book.
Okay. So it's not a series all starring Lucas at
Well,
this point.
if I said yes to that, that would sort of give things away, wouldn't it?
Oh, okay, never mind. Yeah, I want to know the whole story. Who does what to whom? Yeah, right. So for people watching this, if you want to read more about Larry and the book and a whole bunch of films, www.larryprestonauthor, all lowercase.com.
Right.
And then you have a special event coming up Thursday, November 17th. Tell us about that.
I do. As you mentioned before, I was the CEO and of the Temple Arts, which is really the umbrella organization that handles the art museum and the Temple Theater. So I stepped down from that.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Oh,
about a year ago, I stepped down from that. I'm just chairman of the board now.
got it. Okay.
My folks that I work with at the art museum and the temple wanted to do something for me in this book. So they're going to put together a meet and greet at the Saginaw Art Museum November 17th.
6 to 8 p.m.
6 to 8 p.m.
And
And
what's going to, obviously, you'll sell books and sign them, but what else?
well, Mike Kolth, who now is the CEO over there, has lined up an opportunity for a number of people speaking.
Oh,
Going to be a discussion about why, if anyone read the book, maybe they're misled to thinking that some of the art in the Saginaw Art Museum is a forgery. So we're going to talk a little bit about forgery and
okay.
some key paintings there, and how you can tell that they're not forgery, and talk about how all those characters play a part in the fabric of Saginaw and history. The book gets into the history of Saginaw a little bit, so it very
Ah,
much Saginaw book in it. And even though I call it the Great Lakes Bay Art Museum, it's really in the book. It's really the Saginaw Art Museum.
okay. Okay. What would you hope people reading the book take away from it?
I think the key stories here, that people are complex and everyone is complex, but for those who stray and into their weaknesses too far, bad things happen.
Yeah.
Whether greed, gluttony not in the sense of getting fat and heavy, but the sense you have to hoard things that don't make sense, vengeance, lust, all those things come into play. And those who stray too far in those directions, bad things happen.
And will they learn a little bit about art and art forgery and art conservation too?
Yeah, and I did a lot of research on that. So the part about art forgery and how it takes place and how you dispose of paintings, that is all well researched and very, very solid and makes
Yeah.
the, and it's going to talk about a lot of authors, the key authors, painters.
Oh, okay.
William Bouguereau, I don't know if you've ever heard of
Yeah.
him. That is the main painter in the book.
Okay.
And when I was dating this woman back in undergrad, who is now the conservationist, she gave me a postcard of The Nut Gatherers by William Bouguereau from the
Yeah.
DIA. And if you've ever
Yeah.
been to the DIA, it's
Yeah.
one of the fabulous paintings. And from that time forward, I became a Bouguereau fanatic. And so I've weaved William Bouguereau into this. And I spent a lot of time researching how he went about painting. And he was totally meticulous. And we talk about how step by step by step he does his work, did his work, and then how the art forger traces all that to make sure his paintings truly are almost uh, impossible to determine to be a forgery.
Ooh, wow. And
And it's too.
am I not correct when I watch your Facebook page and Paul's that you two still visit museums quite a bit, right?
We do
Yeah.
multiple times every year, and I always go see the Nut Gatherers every time.
Every time. Okay.
And for
Do
those
you
who have not seen it, it's a it's a realistic painting, but it has a certain amount of free brush strokes that you would see later on with the Impressionists. He painted at the same time as the Impressionists, but he was more realistic. He was the most famous painter in his day.
Oh,
He was made more money than anyone else at that time. And then the Impressionists flooded into the market because art dealers needed to have more things to sell. And he's sort of faded in history. And now he's making this resurgence, and his paintings have just exploded. 20
wow.
years ago, buy one of his best paintings for like 100,000. Now they're going for tens of millions. So Bouguereau has really made a resurgence.
Yeah.
And
Do
so
you
I
have a favorite museum out there that you go to? I know the DIA definitely is good.
well, I've been to a lot of museums and I love
Yeah.
them. And but it's really where you spend time. And so I get to New York a couple times every year, and you've got to go see all those great museums there for sure. And they in Boston, the Fine Arts Museum there,
Oh yeah.
came across a Bouguereau painting there that was great to see. So yeah, and LA, my wife and I now live in Marina del Rey, California in the winter. So we get to the museums out in LA as well. So haven't been to Europe in a while, but all the great museums there.
And you mentioned takes place also in New York City and Istanbul. Why Istanbul?
That is my favorite city to travel to, and I think
Really?
it's a
Okay.
fascinating. I mean, they talk about East meets West, and that came about back with the early trade when Constantine developed the city. The people from the far east are meeting the people from the west, but it's even true today. You walk down the street and you have this incredible diversity of people moving around from Western wear to the women wearing burqas. It's just
Ah,
incredible uh,
okay.
city
Okay.
from that perspective, and the history there is amazing. I
Oh
mean,
yeah, definitely that, right. So
so
anything else you want to say about your book or process
um,
or
you've done a great job interviewing me today. You've
okay.
obviously done this more than once.
Yeah, yeah. A few
So,
times.
yeah, I'll say this: you really put yourself out there when you're writing a book. You
Yeah.
know, you're exposing yourself, and you hope people like it, and you hope that they enjoy it, and so I hope readers do. But believe me, I'm I'm on pins and needles to hope people do enjoy it, and look at it and say, "Oh my God, Larry, what the hell are you thinking?"
But keep in mind you did it for yourself first and foremost, I
Yes,
think, you know?
if you have a
Yes.
dream of accomplishing something and you do it,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know
Yeah.
that there's certain satisfaction, and I
Yep.
really enjoyed writing it. But you hope people like it too.
Yep.
It's
Yep.
impossible then. But that's I think people will like it, particularly if you're from the Great Lakes Bay region.
Yes.
Region,
Yeah. Yeah.
you're going to see places in there, and a big part of it takes place in Midland too. So if you're a Midland person, you're going to find that interesting.
There was a series. Oh my God, he was a conservation cop for the DNR, a novel, not true story. And this author wrote this. He went all over Michigan, and they were fun to read because you were from Michigan. So yes, I think you're going to have your best audience local because they can say, oh,
Well,
even
I've
though.
got feedback on that already, Janet, going,
Okay,
oh, and I know who that person is. Reality is the main characters, they're not based on anyone.
I
So
figured. Yeah, I
people
figured.
can try to figure it out, but they are flakes of a lot of people's personality that I forged into a unique character.
Yep, yep,
Novak, or whether it's um, Adam,
yep.
Lindmark, or any of the other characters. There is one character who's an important person in the book that is based 100%, 99% based on someone I know. And
Oh,
people,
don't leave me hanging like that.
people can try to figure that out. That's what
Oh, okay.
sort of interesting. Mm-hmm.
All right. I think we're clapping at that again. Remember, if you want to meet the author, buy a book, get it autographed. Thursday, November 17th at the Saginaw Art Museum from 6 to 8 p.m.
And if
Okay?
people do that, they should register with
Oh,
the.
okay.
They know how many folks are planning to be there.
Okay. All right. Well,
Wonderful.
thank you
Thank
for your
you.
time and hope you get a bestseller out of this. Who knows, right?
Who knows? Never can tell. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks.
Bye bye.